Welcome, everyone, to our Matchday -1 show. Adrian Healy and Michael Lahoud here at St. David's Performance Center, the nerve center for everything Austin FC. This show is presented by PointsBet, the founding partner of Austin FC, and we are just a day away from a match that really sets the pulses quickening significantly. I can feel it, Michael. I can feel it. Can you feel it?
I was about to go and check yours because mine was racing when I looked at the clock and realized the game's coming around the corner.
I know. Seattle Sounders in their house. Their only visit of the year to Q2 Stadium. So much to get into. Glad you could be with us. We're coming to you live on Twitter and Facebook. A recording also available a little later on YouTube. So let's get into it via our new and lovely menu, The Party. Let's start with that because The Party is back at Q2 after Austin's first road game of the year up in Portland. And it's the Seattle Sounders, as I said, paying their only visit of the year. Nationally televised game. That's one cause for celebration again, Michael.
It's just a great opportunity for the Verde and Black to take the national stage and show what they've been working on, show the improvements to this team, and most importantly, prove those naysayers who still exist, don't know what they're drinking, but prove those naysayers wrong.
Yeah. And in front of an FS1 audience, our friends and colleagues John Strong and Stu Holden will be in the house. I know Stu's a big fan of this city. He always talks about how much he enjoys coming to Austin, having grown up just down the road in Houston.
He's a Texan at heart, and when we kicked off our 2021 season, he was one of the first people in the industry to reach out saying good luck to you and Adrian. I remember when we called our first ever game against LAFC, he sent us a text.
Yeah, he does. He's really, really into it. And actually, their broadcast, and this should be noted, any national broadcast is actually seen around the world as well, internationally. 94 countries will take this game. It's going to be live on Sky Sports in the UK. I have friends back in the UK who watch live games when it's at a reasonable hour, and this one is. This is going to be 8 p.m. This is going to be prime time in the UK as well.
Well, are any of those countries Sierra Leone? Because I have friends in Sierra Leone asking for the password to watch. No, it's awesome to see what is happening with MLS soccer, and really, when we say bringing Austin to the world, it just makes me so excited for the opportunity at hand.
Yeah. Let's continue the theme of the party because, even though we're coming off the back of a loss, it's still an excellent start to the season, and still Austin are record breakers in terms of the goal difference. 10 goals scored in their opening 2 games. They still have the highest goal differential through 3 games that anyone has ever produced in league history. They're actually tied now with 2 teams in that regard. 1999 Chicago Fire, who were a pretty good team.
Oh, yeah.
And the 2017 Atlanta United team as an expansion team, who are a pretty good team too. So we're in good company.
Can you remind me how those teams finished? There's a word for that. They made the playoffs for starters.
Right.
And one team ended up doing the business at the end. Chicago, in their expansion year, winning MLS Cup with a certain coach on Austin FC?
A certain Wolf Senior was a big part of that team. Yes. Also, a cause for party again. Sebastian Driussi leading the way with 3 goals. Cecilio Dominguez and Ethan Finley with 2 each. Ring and Julio Cascante have also gone on the score sheet. So we'll be adding to those names. We'll get into that because the life of the party is what we want to bring you now. One player who you think might be the life of the party on Sunday against Seattle for Austin, and why?
He's been one of the lives of the party here at Q2 Stadium when Austin FC have played at home, and that's Alexander Ring. I'm saying his official government-given name because this man is every bit of the leader that he is and the official and the general that he is on the field. Why he's going to be the life of the party is because his movement off the ball. Seattle, they don't shift well in transition, and Alex's ability to just be almost like a second striker for midfield, those deep-lying runs, they're very hard to track, and he delivers. He's got an assist and a goal to his name to start the season here at Q2 Stadium.
Okay, my life of the party on Sunday, Maxi Urruti. I've said it for a couple of weeks, that eventually I'm going to be right. He is going to get his breakthrough goal this week. And I truly believe this against Seattle. His running will cause Seattle a lot of problems. He's come close already. And throw in his extra motivation. He doesn't like Seattle. He's a former Portland Timbers player. He does not like Seattle at all, and he has an excellent goal-scoring record. He has scored 4 goals in 9 appearances against Seattle over the years, so I think Urruti is going to be the life of the party. Let's go on to where the game is going to be played, a place we like to call the Fortress, Q2 Stadium. We're back there, Michael. It's no doubt it's become one of, if not the premier venues in all of MLS, and it's amazing, really, how quickly that's happened.
And it has to go down to the fans. Soccer has really taken root here in the city of Austin, and we know one thing for sure, as you said in previous broadcasts, Austin FC fans, Los Verde, La Murga, and Austin Anthem, they are undefeated in MLS play. The only fan base to be undefeated in my book since their inception.
They have never lost,
Nope,
that's for sure. And they're never likely to lose either. We still have the longest active sellout streak in MLS. That will continue on Sunday. This game, I think, could have sold out 2 or 3 times over.
If they had the Healy-Lahoud combo, it would have been 10 times over.
Right. As you mentioned, the supporters section that is already becoming the envy of the league. But really, perhaps more importantly than all of that, it's also become a place now where Austin have made it very hard for visiting team to get points. Let's look at what's happened at the start of the season and take it back to how we finished last year. Really, from August onwards. But when you look at their last 7 games, Michael, 21 points available. They've got 18 from 21 at home. The only exception was that narrow defeat to Minnesota, which I'm not quite sure how they lost that game. It could easily have been 7 out of 7 that we're talking about. So suddenly it has become the fortress that we wanted it to be.
Well, we said it last year when we were covering those last string of home games that what you do in 2022 depends on how you finish 2021, because the core of this team are players that were here last year. So it's not a new group of players predominantly. It's a big group of players that were here that were part of that successful run to finish the season, and now they're bringing that momentum to 2022. And the way they're doing it is they seem more relaxed. They're having fun. We're seeing team play, and you see it in things like the celebration.
Yeah.
And as a former player, I remember that. One of my favorite things, apart from kicking the best player on the other team, shout out to you, Benny Feilhaber.
He's still black and blue.
Oh, yeah. But it was celebrating. It's that team ethos and that team mentality, and this team is playing like a team.
Yeah. And as you say, the belief is now there, and I think that contributes to playing in a more relaxed manner. But, think back to, June, July, some of those nights early last year where it was like, is the dam going to break? And so often it didn't. The ball just wouldn't go in. And now I think the players genuinely have a belief that the ball is going to go in. Even if it doesn't for the first 20, 25 minutes, they don't waver.
For a lot of the players that were here last year, it was the first time they got to play in front of such a passionate, soccer knowledgeable crowd who was there no matter what. And the expectation became a bit too much at times, and that was honest conversation from players. And this year, they own it. There's a sense of responsibility they feel to the fans and to themselves and families to get the job done, and it's showing at Q2 Stadium.
And I think our style of football, Michael, just in some ways suits being at home. We want to dominate position. We want to be proactive. We want to get other teams on the back foot. And quite frankly, it's easier to do that at home, isn't it? And now we're seeing the fruits of that.
What I love that this team is doing at home is how they press the opponent. They're very aggressive. They're ambitious. They're willing to cover for each other. In preseason, a player who has stepped up tremendously on the defensive end of things, Cecilio Dominguez, he doesn't get enough credit for his defensive work rate around the country, and it shows in how it's impacting the likes of a Maxi Urruti, who sets the tone at the very top, and Sebastian Driussi as well. They are the 3 tone setters in the press for this team.
Having said that, we've got our work cut out for us this week, haven't we? Because it is the Seattle Sounders in the house as we turn to the enemy. The Sounders need no introduction, do they? As we said at the start, at the top of the show, it's one of those games where the pulses just quicken because there's always something special. It's always going to be a great litmus test. Some people call them the best team in the league. Michael, are you prepared to do that right now as we sit here in late March?
I've had 2 cups of Verde coffee, and I'm still prepared to call them the best team in the league right now.
Yep. Yeah.
And because of the form that they're in, not in MLS play, but the confidence that they're playing with, getting healthy bodies. I think of a Jordan Morris, who's come back from long injury layoff last year, and now he's finding the back of the net. He'll be a danger man for them, but they're still missing some key pieces. Nico Ladero, their captain and attacking midfielder, still getting back to fitness, and Owen Rui Diaz is still to be seen in 2022.
Yes, we remember him very well and very painfully, don't we? We don't know if we're going to see him on Sunday. Suspect he might have some sort of involvement. But how have Seattle managed to be who they are? What is it that they do so well that has enabled them to be three-time MLS champions, or 4 MLS Cups, 2-time winners, and now chasing the CONCACAF Champions League as well?
It goes to show you that there must be something in the water in Cascadia.
Yeah.
Because in the last, 7-8 years, it's been Cascadia teams that have made it out of the West in the MLS Cup, and their success goes down to Brian Smetzer. He was given the job under unique terms, and now he's a Seattle guy through and through. He gets the fan base, and he's managing this team so well. They've kept a core group, the Roldan brothers, Nico Ladero, Rui Diaz, and they've added the Freddie Monteros, who's playing very well.
He
seems to be their
rolling
source
back
of goals.
the clock, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got Jordan Morris, you got João Paulo, you got Albert Rusnak now into that mix. Stefan Fry, still one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I mean, there's quality all over the pitch.
And they're a team similar to Austin and what Austin FC is doing. They're a team that it's goals by committee. They have Rui Diaz, who is one of the top goal scorers, but this season there's so many different players who can be the danger man. Christian Roldan can get goals from midfield. Jordan Morris can get you goals from out wide. And if they get Albert Rusnak going, a player who's still trying to find his feet in a big move to the Pacific Northwest, they're going to be a very dangerous team in the West this season.
The X factor is probably the fact that they played on Thursday night in the CONCACAF Champions League against Leon successfully. But what does that mean in terms of their team selection on Sunday? Which brings us to the Lahoud mood, which is getting some real traction nationally now. I'm delighted to say, but this is where it matters most, right here in Austin. Your keys to the game. Bring us your Lahoud mood.
Well, the mood going into this match is prepared. And for Austin FC to be prepared for what Seattle is going to throw, they're going to have to start with dynamic movement and attack. Against LA Galaxy, Seattle, they were disjointed, and Yamir is a player who gets attracted to the ball way too much. Look for the runs of an Alex Ring running through midfield to cause problems and running through those gaps. LA scored their first goal through a deep-lying run from the midfielder on the assist to Javier Chicharito Hernandez. Second, set pieces. On the defensive end, Austin FC need to be very cognizant of the set-piece threat. Seattle scored 2 goals against the Galaxy on set pieces, Arriaga with 1, and then Jordan Morris, who doesn't usually threaten you on set pieces, he bundled 1 in. And last but not least, isolate Cecilio Dominguez. He's going up against Alex Roldan, who is a natural center midfielder, even winger at times. That could be a mismatch with quick switches. In the game against May where they drew 0-0, they did that very well, and they caused overloads out wide on left-hand side.
Yeah, remember the 2 meetings with Seattle last year, which brings me to my one great stat heading into this weekend. Remember, Austin got a 0-0 draw up in Seattle the end of May last year. Then, of course, in July, it was that excruciating 1-0 home loss. I'll bring you some stats from that game just to refresh your memory, and I think maybe Josh Wolf will have used these as some extra incentive heading into Sunday. But in that game, remember, Seattle played 5 teenagers. First time ever in MLS history that 5 players 19 or under had started for an MLS team. Austin had 75% possession in that game, which is a remarkably high number, especially for a team that didn't end up winning. But here's the positive to take from that. When you look at our team from that night in July, it was actually very different. We had Kakuta Mane starting on the left, Rodney Redes starting on the right, Diego Fagundes and Tomas Pochettino in the middle, and Cecilio Dominguez playing as centre forward. So it's actually going to be, Michael, a very different Austin team against Seattle, even if they're playing some of the teenagers again.
Hey, bring on the kids, bring on the regulars for this game, because a player who wasn't in that game, who was a difference maker for Austin FC, Sebastian Driussi.
Yeah.
And that changes the scope of things tremendously. And Cecilio Dominguez and Diego Fagundes were playing out of position in that game. Now order has been restored to the attack with players playing in the right positions, and you have a striker playing in his natural number 9 position in Maxi Ruti.
Yeah. I think we can divide Austin history into BD and AD, can't we? Before Driussi and after Driussi, and that was before Driussi, who by the way is still, we've been averaging 1.6 goals a game still since his arrival. It was half of that before his arrival, 0.8. So he's doubled our output. So good point. Seattle haven't seen him yet. A moment of gratitude as we get towards the end of this Matchday -1 show. One thing we try and single out each week, something we're grateful for within the Austin FC community and the large community that it is. I think we should acknowledge the fact that our staff behind the scenes, in fact, our club as a whole, has been nominated by Sports Business Journal to be the team of the year, and that's a lofty recognition indeed by a very prominent publication, Sports Business Journal. In the other teams, just to throw them out there, they're up for recognition. Tampa Bay Lightning, the LA Rams. I don't have the full list, but that's the sort of company we're in. That means a huge amount, Michael.
It means that people are starting to take notice of what's happening, not just with Austin FC, but here in the city of Austin. And this club is a flag bearer for the city, and rightfully so. And it makes me really excited to see this is happening before the team has even made a playoff appearance or an MLS Cup appearance. Come on, 2022. And so think of just the notoriety and some of the plaudits to come when that happens. But massive moment for the club, massive moment for the city.
Is it harder to win the SBJ Team of the Year or to beat the Seattle Sounders on Sunday? Which is the tougher task?
Well, let's hope the first one.
Maybe both can come true. So this has been terrific, Michael. Real pleasure. Again, we get the benefit of being with you on Sunday. We get to be fans on Sunday because John and Stu are doing our job so well from the booth. We get to circle around the stadium. I can't wait to take it all in because that Q2 Stadium is going to be bursting at the seams and louder than ever on Sunday. But if you can't be there, you can watch on FS1. I think it's a 3:30 Central Time, Austin time kickoff on FS1, and I know the boys they're always really psyched to come here, so they're going to do it right, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, let's hope Seattle gets the Austin barbecue as well. Hopefully they're psyched for the food in Austin because that'll be a major advantage. But you said it best. It's always such a privilege. It makes you realize what an honor it is to be associated with this club, to work for this club when you get to take it all in as a fan and appreciate the hard work that's being done behind the scenes to make this as special as it is.
Great stuff. Thanks ever so much for being with us. Look forward so much to your company on Sunday afternoon, and we'll be back with the next edition of Matchday -1 right here.